Hello and welcome back to the No Notes Podcast. I'm JD.
And I'm Morgan.
And today we have, probably a shorter one for you, but I think it will be very interesting.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Today, we thought it would be interesting to take a look at, instead of looking at one movie in particular or a subgenre or category of movies, we want to take a look at all of the places where people watch their movies. As well as look into some very niche and particular places where people watch certain niche and particular movies.
Yes.
And so, just a general discussion today about all of the places where you can see movies. That's the theater, that's a bunch of other places that we're going to dive into. So, before we get going even further, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe to our channel, comment below as the video's going on, show some support. If you're on Spotify or Apple Music, follow, rate 5 stars. Please show some support. It helps us out. We really appreciate it. And it helps us keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, now we'll jump into the episode.
Let's do it.
Morgan, when we talk about places where you watch movies, is there one place in particular that comes to mind more than the rest?
Well, the obvious one is the movie theater.
Wow. Yeah, we come to that place for magic. I've heard it said. They say that, somehow heartbreak can feel good in a place like the movie theater. So, yes, movie theater, I think represent. AMC, sponsor us. I think movie theaters are the general consensus. Number one, place where people associate movie watching with. And we've done a whole episode about why you should go to the theater to see movies. But what are the things that watching a movie in a theater just generally allows you to experience, in your opinion?
Other people joining you for the same experience, big screen, big sound, comfy chairs, sometimes good little snacks, amazing popcorn.
If you're willing to pay for it.
Yeah. Unlimited refill on your drinks.
I agree with all of those. The community environment is awesome. I love some comfy chairs. Shout out AMC Colonial 18 in Lawrenceville, Georgia.
Your comfy chairs.
The comfiest chairs. And yeah, you get like sound that shakes the room. You get like the best color. You're truly immersed when you go to the movie theater in a way that, other places just can't do it for you. Your phone is almost always off. You are kind of single-mindedly focused on this giant screen that absorbs you into the story most of the time. But like you mentioned, Morgan, too, like there's snacks and stuff and a lot of like really cool features, but a lot of times there's an upcharge for those, and going to the movies is gotten kind of expensive nowadays. And that has led to there being a lot of other places where people tend to watch movies. So if we were going down the list, you think, okay, movies, I'm going movie theater. So when you think of going to the movie theater and experiencing all of the things at the movie theater, what type of movie do you generally think of as being like, oh, I have to go to the theater to see this?
Something epic, like Christopher Nolan, something that like a lot of people are excited for. Yeah. Any like otherworldly type adventure films is like, you have to see it in a theater.
Yeah.
Avatar, Interstellar, the type.
Yeah, I agree. There are certain directors that are like, okay, you gotta go to the theater.
Yeah.
When it's a Jordan Peele movie.
Yeah.
When it's a Denis Villeneuve movie, Christopher Nolan, obviously, Quentin Tarantino, like these are guys that you have to show up for. Or when it's like a certain kind of story, like when, I think you hit it really well. It has to be, generally speaking, like big in scope. You want it you want to feel the weight of the sound and the screen and everything with a movie that is like epic in scope that matches the intensity of the movie theater. Not to say that like quieter movies don't play well in movie theaters, because they absolutely do. But generally for a movie theater, I think we also tend to associate that with like the big blockbusters. Avengers Endgame is like a movie theater movie. Oppenheimer and Barbie were movie theater movies because they were big in scale and had all these things that made you want to go see them. So kind of going from there, that's like and we on this podcast before have advocated for going to see any kind of movie in the movie theater. But generally speaking, the movies we want to see in the theater and the ones that most people want to see in the theater, I think, are the big and epic ones.
Oh, yeah.
So, coming back to if you're watching a movie in your living room, what generally are the kind of movies you associate with your living room? Like, what are you looking to watch if you're just on the couch with your husband or other people, your friends?
Yeah. It's usually like the easy, like a Disney movie, maybe a little comedy or something quicker, and you can kind of look away for a few minutes. You can run and get your popcorn out of the kitchen and come back and not miss too much.
Yeah.
Your grandma can ask you a bunch of questions. It's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm. I think a few super key elements for like the living room movie are, it has to be like, you don't have to pay super close attention, or it's one that you've seen before and have a lot of experience or knowledge with. Or it's like, just something like generally like pretty breezy and not too like serious in tone. Like it would be hard, and I've done it. Like when Mariana and I started dating, I was like, we have to watch Whiplash, we have to watch Parasite, like all these like intense movies, and so you can like sit down and watch a more serious movie on the couch. But generally, when you're looking to throw something on, it's something lighter, fluffier, easier to watch and not have to pay as much attention to. So why do you think it is that those are the kind of movies that are most associated with the living room?
I think your environment can affect how you're intaking art so much. It's like the way that certain art is in museums. Like if you have a really nice soft painting, there's like a couch in front of it, and there's soft warm lighting, and then if you have some giant vibrant sculpture, it's like spotlighted in the middle of this giant empty room, and it's like you want to put it in the environment that it deserves, so that you can fully appreciate everything that it's trying to give you.
I agree. I think that's what what I find so interesting about this is how much our environment affects the movie that we're watching, right?
Yeah.
Because and we'll get into this in a few minutes with some other locations where you watch movies, but when you're watching like, I don't know, Hot Rod is one for me, the Andy Samberg movie. It's like if you're watching that at like, I don't know, like hanging out with a bunch of friends on the couch, like the people you're with, the fact that you're just like in some guy's living room watching this movie has such an effect on how much you appreciate it affects the way you think about this movie so much. That's what's so interesting about movie theaters, right? Like watching even Oppenheimer at home doesn't necessarily hit the same as watching it in IMAX in the movie theater, right? And so, the way that we surround ourselves when we're watching something, I think genuinely has an effect on how we're going to view it, which is why I think like the living room movie is so interesting, because it's either like fluffy or familiar, right? Like we already have an opinion on it, so we're throwing it on again, or it's like something that we don't have to pay super close attention to, because we're in our home, we're trying to feel comfortable, we're not too like concerned. And so there's kind of another phenomenon going off of that, of like people seeing movies in the theater, like movies that come out in the theater, that people tend to think like, oh, I can just wait and watch that at home. I think I heard a lot of people saying that with like The Fall Guy was one that came out that like didn't do like, I mean, I think it did pretty well at the box office, but it wasn't like a huge sensation, but a lot of people were like, oh, I'll just watch that at home. What is it, do you think, about a movie like that versus an Oppenheimer or Dune Part 2 that really draws people to the theater versus like they feel like it can be a living room movie?
I think a lot of it too is like the people you're watching it with. Like sometimes a movie like Fall Guy is a lot more fun to just casually watch with friends. It's more of a casual, but then you watch something like Oppenheimer and it's like, nobody bother me, I'm gonna pay full attention to this. Like I need to take in every moment of this 11-hour long movie.
Fair. Okay. I think that's fair. But, like there are more, I guess, serious action movies maybe, like Dune was one that like people really got excited about and went out to the theater to see. Why do you think Dune was the you have to see in a theater movie kind of the year so far? versus some other movies, like Furiosa even, which like did not do well at the box office.
Yeah.
Like what do you think it is about a movie like Dune that demands the extra focus?
I guess just the scale of it and being able to appreciate it with other people. I feel like all the things I said. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fair. I don't know. I just think it's very interesting. Like, it's because it almost feels a little random to me, maybe, because I feel like a lot of people I know watched the first Dune for the first time, like at their houses before Dune Part 2 came out. And we're like, okay, yeah, that was good, but it was because like whatever it was about the second one felt like it was more of a you have to be here to see this than the first one even. Maybe it's something to do with sequels. I don't know, but yeah.
It's also an element of like getting to see it first.
Yeah.
Like everyone's gonna talk about it, and
that's
I want to be in that conversation. I don't want to be the one like, oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Has a little bit to do with it.
Fair. Okay. So we have the movie theater. We have the living room. I think there's also car movies. What is when I say car movie, kind of what are you thinking about?
Like that you watch in the car, I'm assuming.
Yes, a car ride movie. You're on a road trip. You're pulling a movie up.
Well, usually I associate watching a movie in the car as like being a little kid with your little pull-down minivan.
My family definitely have one of those.
I feel like for me, Ratatouille has been a car movie. I feel like a lot of people grew up our age watching Ratatouille in the car.
For us, it was definitely, I remember Madagascar was like the big car movie.
That's a good one, because it ends with car.
It does.
I think I've seen Madagascar in the back of a minivan once.
Oh,
at least.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think a car movie too is because like sometimes, so every year for Thanksgiving, my family will go to Birmingham where my family lives. And that's, like a 3.5, 4 hour car ride. So I'll usually watch a movie on the car ride. And sometimes it'll be like, I'll just watch like How to Train Your Dragon or something like that I don't pay super close attention to. But this year we went for Thanksgiving and I watched The Killer, the David Fincher movie, in the car. And I was like, this is a terrible car movie.
Yeah, could you even see it? So dark.
It was so dark.
It
really was. It was a tough car movie. On the way home, I watched Porco Rosso for our Miyazaki episode.
Yeah, cartoons feel like the vibe.
Cartoons much more the
vibe.
That's why they're called cartoons, of course. But I was just like, there's something about it's like you can watch like a darker movie in the car, but like there's something about like being on the road that I think again like the environment you're in will like change how you're understanding the movie. Like it almost like nullifies everything because like you're on like an iPad or whatever. Like I was watching on my iPad and it's like everything about like The Killer just felt like duller to me. Like I remember I took a road trip to Colorado with my friends senior year of high school. And on the drive there I was like watching a couple movies, and one of the movies I watched was The Silence of the Lambs. The only time I've seen The Silence of the Lambs was in the back of this car.
Oh my gosh.
And I watched
Sounds terrible.
I watched it, I was like, oh, it's pretty good. And my friend Paul, who's been on the podcast before, was sitting next to me, and he and I finished our movies about the same time. And he was like, oh, what'd you watch? And I was like, oh, it's The Silence of the Lambs. And then I proceeded to describe like the plot of the movie to him, and I described it like it was just like an ordinary movie. And as I was saying it and recounting it out loud, I realized how unhinged and like disturbed this movie is for the first time, because watching it in the car had like nullified the experience to me.
Yeah.
And so I think like a car movie is like an interesting niche place to watch a movie to me, because it's like the car like takes out so much of the experience of a movie. It's almost like you need something very broad or very like general to just like get like the base themes and elements across to you, like Porco Rosso or How to Train Your Dragon or Madagascar or Ratatouille. Something with like brighter colors that just like generally conveys things. Yeah. And then airplane movies was another one that I think is kind of interesting, because I feel like in an airplane, again, like you're forced to just pay attention.
Yeah.
Because like you can't like look around or go anywhere else. I can't be on your phone.
And also like just how close it is to your face, I think does a lot. Yeah. Just like it's literally in front of your eyes.
What are some like airplane movies that you think of?
Airplane movies, you got to think of like the person next to me is going to watch me watch this movie.
Important
the
element.
2-year-old sitting behind me is gonna see what's on the screen. Like some important factors. I've seen a lot of people watch some intense stuff on an airplane, and I'm like, oh, that's just everyone's watching that.
Everyone can see everything that you're watching right now. Yeah.
So I know the basic one. I've seen this all over Twitter is Crazy Rich Asians. Something about it.
Movie.
There's just so many like travel places. They are in a plane at one point. It's like funny. I love it. I also try to not watch anything that I think is too funny on an airplane because I'm not going to be laughing out loud while these people are sleeping next to me on the plane.
I watched When Harry Met Sally on a plane, and that was like, it was a pretty empty plane, but still, like, I definitely got some glares because I like that movie. And like, not do that again. So I think like something that like can give you some chuckles, but also is going to be like. You don't want to be judged, but I think airplane movies I tend to enjoy more because it's like you really are like solely focused. Okay. It's like a tiny, low quality screen.
You have nothing better to be doing right now than watching this movie.
Like car movies, couch movies, you can be on your phone, you can be getting popcorn, you can look out at like all the sights on your road trip or whatever. Yeah. But plane is almost like the closest thing to a movie theater in a weird way because you like... Unless you got a window seat, you're like locked in. And even if you got a window seat, at some point it's just clouds that you're looking at, like nothing there to see. Yeah. So a few more to run through. I think, what was like, did you ever have like the school assembly movie when you were in like elementary, middle school?
No.
Okay.
Maybe.
On like rainy days during gym class or whatever, if there was like something the teachers had to do, they would always put the students in the gymnasium. And we would always watch Scooby-Doo movies.
Wow.
That is like a really like shout out like
school
Hoover City school system, It was always Scooby-Doo. And so like if raining in gym class, you had to stay like late or whatever. And there were so many times I remember being in the school gymnasium and watching like Scooby-Doo movies.
Yeah, that's fun.
And the last one I was thinking was just like what are some like annual movie like traditions? Like I was thinking like you watch Mean Girls on Mean Girls Day.
We love our annual movie traditions in this household.
Yeah. So that's like another sort of like a lot of people I know watch Lord of the Rings every Christmas.
Yeah.
What are some that you go through?
I personally do all the Harry Potters every New Year's Eve. I haven't done it in like a few years, but especially like high school, college, every New Year's Eve I would binge watch all the Harry Potters. Wow. Something about like just watching them in the middle of the night just felt right. And then like starting the new year, I just love it. Like each one's a new year and just so much time travels. I just love watching those on New Year's Eve. Yeah. Our household, big fan of July 6th Park. If you've never heard of this, July 6th, we watch Jurassic Park every year. Big
super
party.
Smoothly communicated as well.
Yes.
July 6th.
July 6th Park. It sounds just like it, no problem.
Like May the 4th be with you.
Yes, exactly.
But July 6th Park.
Did you see the May 9th?
May
thy 9th chip and shatter.
That's great.
I was like, I'm here for it. I'm here for any movie that needs a holiday. I'm here for it.
May thy 9th chip and shatter. I'll be watching Dune Part 2 on May 9th of next year for sure.
Yeah, we do. This isn't a movie, but we watch Over the Garden Wall. Basically, like it's a movie every October 1st. Halloween's a big one for me. I watch 31 horror movies every October.
Which is crazy.
It's the only time I watch horror movies, and I love horror movies, so that's always something I look forward to. Polar Express is my Christmas movie. Like, I can't get through Christmas season without watching the Polar Express once.
For my family,
we did in school, too.
That was a school movie, I think, a little bit, yeah.
You got to wear your pajamas, and you would
you would get hot chocolate.
And your teachers would bring you hot chocolate, and you'd watch I think that's why I like that movie so much, because we watched it in school.
That movie is a nightmare.
It's amazing.
It's terrifying. For my family, that's Christmas Vacation. We watched, since I was a kid, we've watched Christmas Vacation. We watched like the edited for TV version that was appropriate for kids.
We watched the real version
now,
in my house.
As me and my siblings have gotten older, we watched the real version, and my parents are always like, "Oh, I forgot that was in there." It's like we're all like my sister's 18, all like in our 20s. It's fine. But that's a big one for us. We love that movie. Lately, White Christmas has been one we watch a lot from the 40s. That's my brother loves like older movies like that. That's my mom's favorite movie of all time. I know November 5th V for Vendetta. If you've heard of this one, remember the 5th of November. Classic. And so those are kind of the movie holidays that I most closely associate with this.
Yeah.
But as we wrap up here, I think what are some other just examples that you have of like niche places to watch niche movies?
Yeah.
I think this is like sort of like one of the original ideas behind this episode.
I wrote down so many. Should I just
please, yeah,
bullet fire through it?
Do it, yeah.
Okay, so I did my Harry Potter on New Year's Eve. I have seen Jaws in a pool.
That's sick.
It's like you float in the pool and they play Jaws. That's really fun.
That's sick.
Jurassic Park on July 6th, easy. The Conjuring I watched at a sleepover in 7th grade, and I feel like I will never appreciate The Conjuring quite like I did that day.
That's fair. Sleepover is a big one. I didn't think about because like the horror movies at a sleepover.
Perfect.
The only Halloween movie I've seen is Halloween 5 because I watched it at a sleepover, and my friends wanted to rent a Halloween movie. That was the only one that was available on Netflix.
Yeah.
So.
Twilight, anytime it's raining, I have to watch it. Like, I see one raindrop and I'm like, pull out, we gotta watch Twilight right in a second.
Nice.
Pitch Perfect, I used to watch every single day in the softball locker room in high school. So it's just like a funny girl movie, and we watched it in funny girl college, high school times.
Nice.
I think it was great. Tombstone, I think, was at its peak being played in my parents' horse-themed living room. Just really felt
horse-themed.
We had a tombstone. We had 2 Tombstone posters in my living room growing up, and that was the only movie my parents, I think, ever really loved and talked about. So the first time they showed me that was awesome.
It's a great movie.
This one I've also seen on Twitter, completely agree with. The Lord of the Rings, when you start it like halfway, when you like just get into your hotel room, like the first night you're there and you turn it on, like Return of the Kings, like it's got like 40 minutes left.
Oh.
Peak time to watch The Lord of the Rings.
Hotel room movies is a whole other one though, because like
there's so many good ones.
Like movies that just show over and over again on cable. Like The Departed is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I was out of town on a work trip and I had to share a room with a coworker. And we turned on the TV and The Departed was on, and it was the scene where Leonardo DiCaprio goes to meet Captain Queenan at the hotel. You've seen the movie I'm talking about, and I was like, well, we just have to watch the rest of The Departed now. Like, I don't know, my coworker had never seen it. And I was like, I'm watching The Departed. So that's a good one.
Yeah. And then my very last one was anytime I've watched Mamma Mia at a bachelorette party. I think it's the best place to watch Mamma Mia.
Bachelorette party. I will be having a bachelorette party soon.
You have a movie picked out, very important part.
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I hate it, but I love it.
Mariana's brother was just in a wedding. He said the night before they watched Zoolander, and I was like, that's a good one. I know my friend, shout out Paul again, was in a wedding the night before they watched Wedding Crashers. Like, you know, there's some, those are just like dude movies. Like, I don't really like Will Ferrell or like Jim Carrey movies. Those don't ever get me. But like a Ben Stiller movie, I'm all over. Tropic Thunder.
Something about like a movie that's about the situation that you're currently in is just so good. Like Bridesmaids, Before a Wedding.
Oh, I know.
There's too many movies out there that just like you just gotta watch it on this specific night of your life.
I think you're right. I know, it's like, do I like Tropic Thunder before? I just love that movie, but like, what would be like a more fitting movie to watch, like in like on a bachelor party, like the night before I get married, you know? For Mariana, it might be Bridesmaids. Yeah. For me, I don't know. Do they make a movie about a bachelor party? Probably nothing good happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was all the places we watch movies, and some niche places where we've watched some niche movies.
Let us know your niche places that you watch niche movies.
Sean Connery's here right now. That's crazy. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know, and we will see you guys again in 2 weeks. Thank you for watching No Notes.
Bye.
Follow, like, subscribe.